Hey, time travelers. We're going back to the 80s again and visiting our old friend Atari to find out what became of a video game that had real life prizes worth a good chunk of change. Let's hop into the DeLorean and hit 88 miles per hour to travel back to 1982. 1982. The year of the ET video game, multiple console systems, and multiple video game developers. Some that were good, and some that, well, weren't. This is the tale of Swordquest, a 4 video game series that never quite was. The Swordquest series was developed and published by Atari for its Atari 2600 console and came about due to Atari's successful video game that came out in 1980 called Adventure. This game was notable and grew in popularity thanks to one of the very first Easter eggs put into a game. A secret room was programmed into Adventure that contained the programmer's name. Due to the popularity in incorporating Easter eggs into Adventure, Atari decided to create a sequel in which marketing thought it would be a great idea to create a series of games where players would have to find clues both in the game and in its physical materials. The games of the Swordquest series were some of the earliest attempts to combine the narrative and logic elements of the adventure game genre with the twitch gameplay of the action genre, which tested players' response times, making them some of the first action-adventure games. At this time, Atari was owned by Warner Communications, and so they were able to collaborate with 2 of its subsidiaries, DC Comics and the Franklin Mint. The Franklin Mint was responsible for the creation of the real-world physical materials and prizes. Every copy of Swordquest came with a comic book that told the story of our in-game protagonists and contained hidden word clues that would be needed to vie for the prize created by the Franklin Mint. Swordquest would consist of 4 games and thus 4 contests, each which would have its own prize. The games were Earthworld, Fireworld, Waterworld, and Airworld. Each game's winners, those that had submitted the correct hidden word answers, were to be taken to Atari's headquarters in Sunnyvale, California, where they would face off in a race to complete a specially programmed version of that game to be the first to finish it. The person with the fastest completion time would be named the winner and be awarded a treasure. Each treasure was valued at around $25,000 at the time of Swordquest's release. The treasure won was based on which game was played. Earthworld's treasure was the Talisman of Penultimate Truth, an 18-karat solid gold disc studded with 12 diamonds, the birthstones of the 12 zodiac signs, and a miniature white gold sword set atop it. Fireworld's treasure was the Chalice of Light, a goblet made of platinum and gold studded with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, pearls, and green jade. Waterworld had the Crown of Life, a solid gold crown decorated with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and aquamarines. Airworld's treasure was the Philosopher's Stone, a large piece of white jade encased in an 18-karat gold box encrusted with emeralds, rubies, and diamonds. The 4 winners would then have competed in a final contest to win the ultimate prize, the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery, with a silver blade and an 18-karat gold handle covered with diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, and rubies that was valued at $50,000. So, who was the ultimate winner? Well, before we get to that, let's get into the details of the games, starting with Earthworld. Earthworld follows twins named Tara and Tor. Their parents were slain by King Tyrannus' guards due to a prophecy by the king's wizard Conjuro that the twins would slay Tyrannus. The twins were then raised as commoners by thieves to avoid being slain by the king. When they go to plunder Conjuro's sea keep, they accidentally reveal their identities to him. The twins then start running from a demon summoned to kill them, but it appears that a jewel they stole attracts it. After smashing the jewel to avoid the demon, 2 of Tyrannus' old advisors appear and tell the 2 about the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery and the Talisman of Penultimate Truth. They are then transported to Earthworld. Each of the games required that the player move through a maze of rooms, collecting objects from one room and placing them in other rooms. The arrangement or theme of the rooms varied with each game. Earthworld was themed after the Western Zodiac. Traversing between rooms sometimes required the player to complete a Twitch-style minigame to progress. When the player placed an item in its correct room, they would be presented with numerical clues that referred to a page and panel within the comic that was packaged with the game. There, the player would find a hidden word that was part of the larger Swordquest contest. Once all the hidden words were found, the player submitted their answer to Atari. However, finding the correct hidden words wasn't enough. They also had to be arranged correctly and that would form a relevant phrase to the larger contest. Those who correctly submitted the hidden word phrase were then entered into the next phase of the contest, in which the player would be invited to Atari's Sunnyvale location for a playoff. About 5,000 entries were received for Earthworld, but only 8 were correct. The contest was held in May 1983, with Stephen Bell winning the talisman. With the conclusion of Earthworld, Fireworld picked up with the twins Tara and Tor. The twins reach Fireworld when the sword they found in Earthworld burns a hole through its altar, thus exposing the entrance to Fireworld. In Fireworld, the twins split up to look for water, and Tor, with the aid of the talisman, summons Mentor, who shows Tor the chalice of light, which will quench his thirst. The twins reunite eventually and find the chalice. Fireworld was themed after the Kabbalah Tree of Life, and the gameplay was much the same as Earthworld, with hidden clues in the comic that had to be submitted in the correct order. However, Atari received several more entries for Fireworld, and 73 were correct. Rather than invite 73 people to their headquarters for a face-off, Atari required the 73 finalists to write a brief essay of what they liked about the game, selecting the top 50 replies to continue to the final competition, which was held in January of 1984. The chalice was won by Michael Rideout. With Fireworld now finished, we go back to the twins. Tor drops the chalice after he is startled, and it is revealed that the one they found was not the true chalice. Hermanus then gives them the chalice, and it grows until it becomes large enough to swallow the twins and transport them to Waterworld. Upon reaching Waterworld, the twins become separated. Conjuro casts a spell that causes the twins to lose their memories. Tara travels to a ship made of ice and meets Captain Frost, who desires to find the Crown of Life and rule Waterworld. Meanwhile, Tor travels to an undersea kingdom and meets the city's ex-queen Aquana, who desires to find the Crown of Life in order to regain her throne. After a brief war between the ex-queen and captain, Hermanus sets the twins to duel each other. They then pray to their deities for guidance, which summons Mentor, who allows them to regain their memories. The twins throw down their swords, causing the crown to be revealed and split in half. The halves are given to the ex-queen and the captain, who then rule as equals. Waterworld's theme was chakras, and the gameplay was again the same. At this time, though, Atari had suffered major financial setbacks due to the 1983 video game crash. However, Waterworld had already been advertised, and so lawyers for Atari made them finish out Waterworld's contest. To limit the number of entrants for Waterworld, it was only made available to members of the Atari Club. During the contest period, in mid-1984, Atari was sold to Commodore International. The state of all divisions within Commodore International were reviewed, which furthered the troubles in completing the Waterworld contest. Most who did enter the Waterworld contest were told they did not qualify for the final, but Atari was legally required to follow through as advertised on the Waterworld contest. So, Atari secretly invited those with correct entries to hold the final round, and the crown was awarded to a person, their name remaining anonymous due to legal requirements. At the conclusion of Waterworld, the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery then transports the twins to Airworld, where they would have to do battle with King Tyrannus and Conjuro. In mid-1983, Atari's CEO was replaced, and looking to cut financial losses, the Swordquest project was eventually canceled, despite work having already started on Airworld, whose theme was based on the I Ching. While the comic for Airworld was started, the cancellation of the series left the comic unfinished. This also meant that the contest, and the ultimate prize, would remain unfinished as well. Because they could not hold the ultimate final round, Bell and Rideout, the winners of the first two competitions, were both awarded an additional $15,000 as well as an Atari 7800 as compensation prizes. The 10 finalists of Waterworld were granted $2,000 each. So, who was the ultimate winner? Well, no one. And what happened to those prizes? Well, that is the stuff of urban legends. Rideout, the winner of Fireworld, claims to still have the chalice stored in a safety deposit box. Bell, the winner of Earthworld, fell out of contact following the Swordquest event, but according to Atari historian Kurt Vendel and Rideout, Bell appeared to have had the disc part of the talisman melted down for its value, keeping the small sword, diamonds, and birthstones. The current fate of these is unknown. The fate of the crown is also unknown. Vendel stated that while Atari was required to hold the contest, they could have simply awarded the winner a cash prize equivalent instead of the crown. Since they were never part of any contest, the Philosopher's Stone and the sword have seemingly disappeared. Some sources have claimed that the head of Commodore, Trammell, took possession of the prizes himself. This claim is based on rumored observations that Atari staff or associates of Trammell had made of seeing a similar-looking sword mounted in Trammell's office or on his home mantle. However, Vendel believes that the persons who started this rumor may have mistaken a Trammell family heirloom for the Swordquest sword. Vendel believes that it is unlikely that Trammell would have been able to keep the stone, sword, and if not given away, crown. This is because when Atari was sold, these items were still the property of Warner Communications and would have been returned to the Franklin Mint. With the Franklin Mint later being sold in 1985 to American Protective Services and the original Atari business no longer existing, the prizes were most likely melted down to their base components for reuse elsewhere. Now, if you want to try your hand at any of the Swordquest games, you have an opportunity. Atari released the Atari 50 collection in 2022, and as part of that collection, Digital Eclipse developed a new version of Airworld, thus making all 4 games available. There's also a great podcast series about Swordquest called The Legend of Swordquest that goes into much greater detail, and they actually talk to some of the people that were involved in the original contests. Until next time, travelers.